It's Mr Mandela by Chris Van Wyk and illustrated by Paddy Boomer. Mr Hare crept out of his forest home. The morning sky was blue. The grass was green. Little trees swayed in the cool breeze. The forest was full of the songs of birds. But on his doormat lay something he had never seen before. A brand new $200 rand note. Mr. Hare picked it up. What is Mr. Leopard doing here? He turned it around. Ah, Mr. Mandela, he cried. One ear curled up and down as he thought. He looked up at Miss Secretary Bird, who was watching him from a branch in the thorn tree. Please call a meeting of all the animals, he said. I have an important announcement to make. She flew off, calling, "Meeting everyone at the baobab tree this morning. Meeting everyone." See, this is the baobab tree, and they have come for the meeting. What is it this time? Everyone wondered, forming a circle under the tree. Oh. Mr. Hare stood in the center.
How can we properly?
He cleared his throat and began. There he is, and here, all the animals.
Hey, 95 fool.
Yeah, why?
Fellow citizens of the forest, I have important news for you. This, he said as he waved the 200 rand note around, has landed on my doormat. I don't know what it is or what it means, but it has Mr. Mandela's face on it, and so I'm sure it belongs to him. It has my face on it too, said Mr. Leopard with a playful snarl. So,
A playful snarl?
yes. So maybe...
What is he doing?
Maybe it belongs to me.
Mommy, what are they doing?
They're cleaning the windows.
Oh, then.
Everyone laughed, except for Mr. Hare. He was in no mood for jokes. I planned to go to the city this very hour to return this important note to Mr. Mandela. What? Mr. Buffalo asked, shocked. You will get lost there.
Are they checking your bills?
Why would I get lost? Asked Mr. Hare, pushing out his chest. Because you can't read, said Mr. Rhino, pointing his sharp horn at Mr. Hare. Oh, nonsense, snorted Mr. Hare. Yes, you can see that the uncle is cleaning the window. Oh, nonsense, snorted Mr. Hare. It's true, Mrs. Elephant stomped her foot impatiently. In the city of readers, everyone can read. And those who cannot read are learning to read. Well, what could happen to me? Mr. Hare asked. Mr. Lion leapt forward, swishing his tail in his face. Those who cannot read repeat their mistakes over and over again, he growled. And so will you? Ha! Mr. Hare sniggered. Not me, Kitty. With these words, he marched fearlessly right underneath Mrs. Elephant, and then he skipped down the path that led to the city of readers.
Nice story.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Soon he began to hear the noises of the city. And then he saw it. He had never been in the city before. He glanced at Mr. Leopard's face on the note. It seemed to be warning him not to go. But I am the little wise one, Mr. Hare said. I am cleverer by far than anyone in the city of readers. and with a leap, he entered the city. Okay, can you see how?
Flying.
Yes, that's called a leap, a jump, a big jump. But it looks like he's flying. He saw people rushing for a train and he joined them. At the pay station, a man in a smart uniform standing behind a counter held out his hand and Mr. Hare said, holding up the $200 rand, "I'm on my way to see Mr. Mandela." The man grabbed the note out of his paw. "Hey!" Mr. Hare protested. Then the man handed him a 100 rand note. Mr. Hare examined the note on the train. "It's turned blue," he said, puzzled. "And Mr. Buffalo has taken Mr. Leopard's place." He turned the note around. "But Mr. Mandela is still here." He took a carrot out of his pocket and nibbled happily, watching the scenery outside. "Excuse me, sir." Mr. Hare looked up at the man in a blue uniform. "You are not allowed to eat on the train. Can't you read that?"
Please do not eat on the train.
That was the sign that Mr. Hare was supposed to read. "Oh," Mr. Hare said, putting the half-eaten carrot back in his pocket. He got off at the next station and soon found himself on a busy street. Bratotsky watched Mr. Hare trying to cross the road and saw what he had in his paw. 100, he said, licking his lips. He walked up to Mr. Hare. "You seem lost." "My brother," he grinned. "I'm Bratotsky, here to help new visitors to our city. I am Mr. Hare," he shook hands, "and I'm on my way to see Mr. Mandela."
Made his day.
Mr. Hare said, "To give him this."
ไปสามสิบนาที
He held out the banknote. "Ah," said Bratotsky, "Mandela is my best friend. I'll take it to him." He grabbed 100 rand and disappeared into the crowds. Mr. Hare was not happy about how
斯里
things
蘭
were
卡我同你
going.
講唔平啊呢啲嘢
He wanted
accommodation not too
to
bad 啦
meet
嗰啲
Mr. Mandela himself
move from
and
食
shake
嘢 restaurant
his hand. No, he decided, I must find
their salary
Bratotsky
right very
and take
similar
back
to
the note.
Philippines that means you
And
are
there
a fully
he
trained
is.
lawyer your
Mr. Hare
monthly
spotted
salary
Bratotsky in Ma Piri's Peri Peri chicken shop,
USD
chomping
lah.
away
5六
on
百蚊
a 50 rand box of wild wings. "Hey, Bratotsky," Mr. Hare said, "give me back my note." Bratotsky got such a fright that some peri-peri sauce got stuck on his throat.